What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Robert Garcia Unfiltered. I'm your host, Cristina Ramirez, joined with Robert and Pita Garcia. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the event that happened in LA this weekend. It was Riyadh season's first US event, and you guys were a part of it. So before we actually get started, do you guys want to briefly talk about or say a few words about being part of such a significant event?
It was great being part of the event. It was a full week of different activities, different things going on. Something that used to be very common and very popular years ago with the media workouts, with the press conferences and stuff like that. But it had kind of like been like they've been forgotten about stuff like that because all the big fights or top promoters, they do press conferences, but they were never as big as they used to do it. Or media workers used to be a big thing. Uh, these guys came out every day of the week. They had something going on. They had the Grand Arrival in Santa Monica, a free boxing show in Santa Monica. Then we had the press conference in Hollywood. At a very popular theater right there down Hollywood Boulevard. It was every day they had something going on. So that the Waynes, they made a big stage right at LA Live in the evening, so people could show up and watch the Waynes. It's something big, man. This is
And then
huge.
the fights after the media workout,
Yeah,
the fights after the media workout on Wednesday, that was something different.
yeah, exactly.
I
That's
don't
what.
think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
neither.
had fights, and it was free for the fans. There was a lot of people that showed up. It was just something different, something that they wanted to do something big because they also got all the promoters involved. The only one that wasn't involved in the show was Golden Boy Promotions because Virgil's fight got canceled, and that's the only reason. But they were still part of it because Goldman was still there. His company was still there at the fights, and they were still promoting the event because they were supposed to be part of it. And they were part of the deal that they did together with the Saudis. So it's huge. It's huge. I think putting all the promoters, all the top promoters to work together with so many fights, so many huge fights that each could have been their main event elsewhere, but they were all put in the same card was huge. There was a little bit of I know there was a little bit of confusions with the promotions, who was to allowed to enter to the media, to the press conference, stuff like that. But it was the first time. There was so many promoters involved that it got a little bit
Yeah, it was real
awkward.
hectic.
It was
Yeah,
very
exactly.
hectic.
With so many people involved, you're asking somebody, but oh no, you got to go ask them because they're the ones running that fight. Fighters. Normally after a fight, promoters pay the fighter. The promoter hosting the event pays the fighter. This time, oh no, you got to go to so and so because they're the ones promoting, so you got to ask them, or you got to, it was just a little bit of that, but it wasn't a big deal. They still handled it well, but it was a little confusing at times with stuff like that, like who's going in there, how many people are allowed, or we can't do this now because there's so many other people. It was just difficult. It was just hard, but it was at the end turned out to be a great event. With Eminem doing a mini concert, all that was just huge.
I was just gonna bring that up. I've never seen someone perform at a boxing event, so that was pretty cool, and especially it
I've
being
seen it before. We've seen it before. Canelo had Maluma perform.
Yeah, but
really.
that's different. They walked him out. This guy did a whole concert, like a few songs by
Oh,
himself.
Maluma, was it Maluma?
J
Oh,
Balvin.
it was Jay
Oh, J
Belvin.
Balvin, J Balvin. Didn't
Yeah,
he?
he had the Aguilars. He's had like different people, but that's just like with the walkout. Eminem he did his own like
Okay,
concert.
so
He did like three, four songs on his own. But you talked a lot about the fight week stuff. I'll go a little different with talking about how the 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 Saudis and this Riyadh season. I think the best part about all of this is, like you said, that they're making all the promoters work together. They're making fights that we wouldn't have normally seen if it wasn't for somebody that's bringing everybody together like this, or a card that we normally wouldn't have seen. Um, Someone like Jared Anderson, we spoke obviously we're gonna get into all the fights a little bit later on, but Jared Anderson wouldn't have ever had a fight, or what's his opponent's name? Martin Bakole. I don't want to mispronounce.
It's Bakole.
Martin Bakole wouldn't have had such a big victory if Turkey wouldn't have came and offered Jared Anderson a lot of money to step in and fight him, and you know what I mean, like it's making fights that we normally wouldn't get to see. And I think last year, the big year that we had with all the big pay-per-views, and we had Ryan fighting Tank, we had Crawford and Spence, and the fans supported those events. The fans bought the pay-per-views. They were huge successes. And I think this is just more going into that direction where we're going to see the best fight the best. You heard them talk about possibly making sure Shakur Stevenson versus Camarón Cepeda. That's a great fight. That's a big draw here in the United States. I don't know if they want to take it to Saudi Arabia or wherever they want to do it, but that's a big fight that a lot of people would tune in to watch. So I'm excited. I'm more excited for that we get to see a lot of fights that we normally wouldn't think would be a possibility now with Turkey. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but yeah, without him involved.
But how significant was it for you guys to be a part of it?
Oh, it's cool. It's the first card, hopefully the first of many that we get here in the United States. And obviously to be the co-main event, to have such a big fight, one of the two world title fights on the card, or three, I believe. Morel was also a world title fight. One of the three world title fights, it means a lot, and obviously that. Uh, Not to say that Crawford, I mean he's still Terence Crawford, but there was a lot of people that were just as excited for Pitbull versus Rayo as Crawford in the main event. So it meant a lot to be on such a big stage like that.
And being part of that event, knowing that Turkey is there watching the fights and getting and being around so many other fighters. Bam Rodriguez was there. We got
Gardini.
we met him. Stuff like that. Definitely want. It's a plus for us, man. He's already talking about possibly even himself. Turkey doing the Ramirez next
Oh, our
fight.
fighters. Yeah.
Yeah, he's already talking about it. He's talking about Virgil Ortiz doing a big
Terence
fight,
Crawford.
possibly Terence Crawford. So, man, is it great for us in boxing 100%, especially my team. Like Peter mentioned earlier, Jared Anderson. I'm pretty sure, I don't know what he got paid, but he got a lot of money, or else they wouldn't have taken that fight, and Top Rank wouldn't even allow him to go and take a risk like that when the money, if the money wasn't right. This had to be crazy money, because if Top Rank didn't allow him to take the fight, then Anderson would have said, "Are you guys gonna pay me that kind of money in my next fight?" Then if they can't, they have to let him fight, because they can't uh, pay him less if he's got a better offer. It's just the way boxing is. It works like that. That's why there's other promoters sometimes that make a big offer to make a big fight, and if the money's good, then the promoter has to match it. If not, he has to let them fight.
Mm-hmm. Talking about Jared Anderson, let's actually start right there. Um, I was so sad. I was rooting for him, but Bakole dominated him since the opening round, dropping him with that vicious right uppercut. And it was only a matter of time since he was able to drop him two more times and get him out of there in the fifth round. It was kind of obvious since the opening round that it wasn't going to go the distance. Do you think that Jared had any chance on winning, or was Bakole just too big and too strong for
You know
him?
what? I think going to the fight, everybody already knew it was going to be a very dangerous fight for Jared. I didn't. I wasn't sad like you. Why would I be sad? He's not my fighter or anything. But I wanted him to win. I was hoping that he win because he's here in the States. He knows Bam pretty well. He's not my friend, but he fights for Top Rank also. We get along. There's other, Bakole it is, right? He comes from England or wherever he's from, to so we're cheering for the guy that we know
The
better.
American.
But yeah, it was just gonna be tough, man. That guy was just too big, man. It just seeing them face off at the weigh-ins or the press conferences, you could tell, man. It's not gonna be easy, man. You have to have crazy, crazy power or great boxing skills to be able to dominate a monster like that. That guy reminded me of George Foreman. He's right there in front of you. You could land everything you want, but you're not gonna hurt him. And when he lands, he's gonna fuck you up. That's how I felt. It was just a matter of time, a matter of him landing. That first uppercut that he landed was crazy. Nothing Jared could do, nothing his team could do. It was just the guy was just too big and too heavy, too strong for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know much about Martin Bakole before the fight. I'm not gonna pretend to know, to have said, oh, I followed his career. I thought he was gonna do this. I thought he was gonna do that. I actually my parlay, that fight fucked up my parlay. I had a good parlay going with picking some of the underdogs, but um yeah, I didn't know much about him. When I saw it back, uh he when I got home last night, I heard I forget which commentator was Sergio Mora or Chris Mannix or Sean Porter, one of these guys said that Martin Bakole averaged like a ridiculous, like more the most he or in a fight he had the most punches thrown by a heavyweight, or he averaged the most around, something like about his output during a fight. And
And he
when I
hadn't
heard
lost in
that, what happened?
he hadn't lost in a few years,
Yeah,
also.
his one loss was, he was on a good winning streak. When I heard that, and then I started to watch. We even text, some of the guys from Top Rank were like, whose idea was this? Like who okayed this fight? Because you know the one thing is the size, the power, but you got somebody like a Weili Zhang, or a Joe Joyce, who are big, huge power punchers, but they're throwing 10 punches around. So somebody like Jared Anderson with his speed, with his movement, maybe could possibly beat one of those guys, a decision, avoid the one big shot, but it's every once in a while. But somebody like Bakole, who's as active as he is, that was always going to be a tough fight for Jared Anderson. I don't think, I think once the fight started, and as soon as the fight started, we all looked, we're like, okay, this is gonna end bad for Jared Anderson. This dude's no joke. But yeah, like you said, I was rooting for Jared. I've been a big fan of his. I remember Bam told us that they were in the same amateur team when Bam traveled to I think it was to Russia. And Bam got like a silver medal at a world tournament. Jared Anderson was there, a few other guys, but he's always giving props to Bam and stuff. So I was rooting for him. I wanted him to win. Again, I had him in one of my parlays and he fucked it up. But good for Martin Bakole though, because that's a big win for him. Again, I hadn't seen him fight, so maybe most of the fans here in the US, he signed to Queensberry, which is a promoter in the UK. Most of us here probably weren't the biggest supporters or haven't followed his career as much as we should, or paid as much attention as we will now that we saw what he was able to do. The next time he fights now, I'm gonna be tuned in. I'm sure he's gonna get a big fight now, or maybe a rematch, or whatever happens. I'll be tuned in because
Nah,
I became a fan of his. No, no, no. I'm just saying, you never know. Whatever, maybe down the line or whatever. But I'll be tuned into whatever he does now. So it was good for him. He was in the locker room with us with Rayo. He
he
was
was,
in the
and
locker
we
room.
were in the same locker room with
Yeah,
Rayo. They were so confident.
they were
Really?
super
I
confident, super
I
confident.
talked to his promoter the night before, I think it was, and because I know his promoter from the time I spent in England, and they were so confident, so sure. He's like, "There's no way we're gonna lose this fight. We're
Shit, you should
actually
have told me.
gonna."
I would have fucking switched my
He was so
parlay.
confident. This guy has no chance on us. They made a big mistake. He was talking like that. And then in the locker room, man, they were so confident right there because we got there. when they were warming up to
We were about
walk
to
out
walk.
to the arena to the
Mhm.
fight, and we were there for a few minutes while they were there warming up. And yeah, they were confident. Though that team was confident. They were actually very friendly too with us, and it was all it was great sharing the locker room with them because they were good people. They were very nice people. They actually helped us with the waters, with everything else.
Yeah, they helped us with
Put
a
up
lot of stuff.
waters for us and everything. So they had everything ready for us because they knew they were sharing locker room with us. So they were very professional too. So I'm happy for his win, but yeah, definitely it sucks that the our fighter, from the United States, local promoter, lost. It was something that wasn't easy for them. But like I said, it had to be too good for them to say no. They couldn't say no. So they'll bring them back. Top Rank, I'm pretty sure, is gonna bring them back. Fight them on ESPN, bring them back slowly again, and take their time. There's no rush. The kid still has a lot of
Like
potential.
24, 25 years old. He's young.
But yeah,
Exactly.
he's really young, and he showed a lot of heart after a lot of fans were criticizing him, saying that his mindset's probably not in the game as much as he should be.
No, it
Well,
didn't show.
I
It didn't
say
show.
that he just got beat up. He just got his ass
Yeah.
kicked. That guy was just too much for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he got dropped, but he would get up. He showed a lot of heart. Like you said, he had that one interview with like Roy Jones where he questioned like why he's boxing or why he does it, and why he was chosen to do what he does. But that didn't show that in the fight he had a lot of heart. When they stopped it, you could tell he was mad. He didn't take the loss very well.
All right,
But
it hurt him.
yeah, a lot of respect for Jared Anderson the way he fought.
Who would you guys like to see Bakole fight next?
Shit, anyone.
There's a lot of fights for him. He could fight for the world title next. That win for him on a big event, on a huge event. He became a star too. So he could fight and compete. I'm not saying
He
he
could
could
beat a
fight
lot of guys.
most of those guys. Like that fucker's dangerous. He could fight for the world title. If something happens with Anthony Joshua and his opponent for the IBF title, he could step in and probably put up a good fight, or maybe even beat those guys, or Usyk versus Tyson Fury. Something happens, somebody pulls out, he steps in. He can fight anybody,
Mhm.
anybody. He needs to stay ready because he's gonna get a call. That
Yeah.
fucker, he's gonna get something big. He became a star.
Yeah. Kind of piggybacking on the following fight that we're going to be talking about with Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller. A lot of fans were kind of promoting, not fans, but well, yeah, I guess you can say fans and some people in boxing, they were kind of promoting a super heavyweight division. They were like, there should be like separate because they were too big for these like 200 and so
Yeah,
pound.
Jared's always been a small heavyweight.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact weight he comes in, but he's a smaller guy for the heavyweight division. Once you get to the top level, you get somebody like Tyson Fury, AJ, and these guys. Even Usyk is like 6'6". He's a big dude. Tyson Fury's like 6'9", AJ 6'8". These are some big ass dudes. Um, I don't know if they have to make that. I think there's just something about the novelty of the heavyweight division, 200 pounds and up. You guys figure it out then. That's cool, but.
Didn't the WBC do
They
make
did a,
like another
a
division?
fucking bridger weight or some shit
Yes,
like that. Yeah,
bridge.
but nah, it wasn't. It was what happened?
It's like 120 or something like that. No, 220.
Yeah, something weird like that. But nah, it's
But
the
you're a
heavy.
heavyweight. You're a
200
heavyweight.
pounds and up. You're a
Yes,
heavyweight.
you're a heavyweight. You're a
Yeah.
heavyweight. You got a lot of cruiserweights that become champions. Usyk was
Yeah,
a
was a cruiserweight world
champion
champion.
at
He went up to
a
heavyweight.
cruiserweight, and then now he's a heavy. He's undisputed champion of the world. Evander Holyfield did the same, and many more guys have done it. So,
Mhm.
so no. Once you're a heavyweight, you're a heavyweight.
Tyson you could consider was an undersized heavyweight. He wasn't the biggest guy. You just got to find your ways.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on to the next heavyweight event. Andy Ruiz returned to the ring after almost 2 years, and he got a controversial draw against Jarrell Miller. Many fans are criticizing this decision, saying that Miller got robbed. Do you guys agree or disagree?
The thing is that people, they're criticizing, the fight because yeah, it was a
That's
very close fight. It was a tough fight, but people don't put things, they don't see things the way boxing people do, or people that know that he hadn't fought in 2 years, so inactivity. But then again, bringing him in against a solid guy, against a real good fight. After 2 years, maybe not the right thing to do, but like Anderson, I'm pretty sure the offer was so good that you couldn't say no to because after a 2 year inactivity, any fighter would maybe try to come back with something different than what they faced. I just think that could have been a case, but I'm not trying to find excuses for Andy too. I don't know him personally, but there's a lot of word about him being a little in this not disciplined, a little whatever it is. There's been a lot of stuff going on with him on TV with his girlfriend, wife. I don't know if he already married her, the new baby they had. So I don't know if those are all distractions. I really don't know. But he did seem tired. He did seem a little, sometimes a little confused. But only he knows. I don't know. We were by that time we were already getting ready and warming up. So we didn't pay too much attention to his fight. But from what we were watching there in the locker room, there was moments where we're thinking, man, he might be losing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think we can excuse something a professional fighter off of something with we can't say that it was all the 2 year inactivity because he did that to himself. He's been offered fights, he's been getting offers, and he
So
just turns down fight. That's his problem. That's not that has nothing to do with this fight itself. We're talking about him versus Jarrell Miller, and I thought he lost. I thought he lost to Jarrell Miller. I thought Miller didn't look that great either. He was also tired. He's been on a big suspension too. Coming off of a big suspension, testing positive for PEDs and banned and all this and that, and he hasn't looked that great in fights either. Andy should have, beat somebody like that. But again, Andy put himself in that situation. He's the one that's denying fights. He's the one that if you have a problem with like your promoter not fighting you, go look fight somewhere else and try to keep yourself as busy as possible. But he was okay waiting for a big payday, waiting for them to guarantee him big amounts of money. And when he took it, it was 2 years after his last fight, and that's the result of it. I don't I thought he lost. I thought Gerald Miller should have won. But again, Andy's never been the most disciplined guy. Everybody in boxing has heard and knows that. Since he became champ, that's been the word about him. Again, we don't know him personally. We've never been in, we've had sparring partners that have helped him out, but we're not in camp with them. We don't know how things go. But I thought he lost. I thought Jerome Miller won. I thought he was more active. I thought he was putting the pressure. He was setting the pace of the fight. And Andy just, he by after I don't even know what round, you just barely saw him throw any punches.
Do you think if he didn't hurt his hand, it would have been a different outcome?
I mean, I don't know. That's something that happens in fights, we watched the fight this morning when we were at my dad's house, and Jared Anderson, it looked like they fractured his jaw.
Um,
I don't know if we're right about that, but
it
I
seemed
mean,
like it seemed like it
it seemed
was.
like it, right? Like he
he
seemed
wasn't
like it.
closing it.
I don't, yeah, there was a point in the fight where his mouth was just open the whole time. He
Mhm.
wasn't, I understand there's like a lot of fighters when they throw punches, they do like a little scream, or they let out like air through their mouth, and they open their mouth when they throw, but he had his mouth just open for
Mhm.
like a long period of time right before he got stopped.
And bleeding at the same time.
Yeah, and he
So
was
that
bleeding,
yeah,
so that could have been a fractured jaw. But the same thing with Jared Anderson, it happened to Bam. It's happened, the with Andy Ruiz hurting his hand. That's something that happens in boxing. Like it's not something, yeah, it sucks, and you don't want that to happen. But when it does happen, you have to fight through it. Like you have to figure out a way to still win the fight, or to you know I don't think him breaking his hand is the reason he was out of shape, or the
Yeah.
reason he got tired. You
Yeah.
know, he gassed him. He wasn't in the best shape. He was tired after the early rounds. He wasn't throwing a lot, and that's the result you get.
Mhm. Do you think this decision will help the fighters or will it hurt the fighters?
Man, you know what? I think it doesn't hurt. ¿Cómo se llama con el que peleó?
Miller.
Miller?
Miller. I don't think it does. I think for him, he keeps going.
His stock rose.
He doesn't really affect him. I think if somebody's affected, it's going to be more Andy because most of the people thought he lost.
Hmm.
So it affects him more than Miller. Miller will he'll move on, and there was a draw, and people seen it, and people are going to say, oh, promoters are going to say, we're still going to give you a big fight because you didn't lose. I think it affects more Andy because people were expecting more from Andy, and Andy, if he wasn't in the best shape of his life, he tired out, then it will affect him. They're gonna go like, what? How can we give you another big fight when you didn't perform and when you were supposed to?
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy's in a different situation than Jarrell Miller. He's the former world champ. He's the big star. Miller coming off of a suspension and this and that. He's gonna get a call to be an opponent for somebody else now. Maybe even Bakole, or you know what I mean. Like there's more fights for him. Whereas Andy's supposed to, like my dad said, he's supposed to be the one that's performing. He's supposed to look good. He's the favorite. He's the former world champ. So his stock dropped a little bit, and I think Miller's rose a little bit.
Right now you mentioned Bakole. How would that fight play out?
I think I aside from like the world champs right now, I don't think I would favor anybody against Bakole, or I wouldn't bet against them anymore.
Right.
Whether it's Andy or Miller or any, maybe just Usyk, Fury, AJ, and even then, who knows? But aside from those guys, I don't think I favor a lot of guys against Bakole right now.
I wouldn't either.
No, he's just too big, huh?
Big and
Like
strong and
heavy hitter.
stays busy during the rounds.
Hmm. Piggybacking on that decision, if it's gonna hurt or benefit the fighter, you don't think it's gonna like benefit Andy on helping him get more fights?
No, because he lo- he he's the star. He's supposed to put on a performance. Like you have when you're demanding big paydays the way Andy does, when you're not just Andy, I'm talking about just like all fighters in general. When you're a big star and you expect to be paid a certain way, and then you have to deliver. Like whether you like it or not, you have to deliver. It's still entertainment. It's a sport, and your job is to win. But when you start making the paydays, when you're the main event, when you're the reason that people come to the fight, you're one of the reasons. Andy was one of the stars of the event. Obviously, Crawford's the main event. You got Pitbull and Rayo in the co-main event. Andy's one of the stars of the event. People go see Andy Ruiz fight because he's a star. But when you don't perform, then your stock drops, and you can't try to make or try to ask for this amount of money, or I need this, I need that. No, like you're not performing the way you're supposed to. People are losing interest, you're losing viewership, you're losing fans and stuff by the way you perform and stuff. So no, I think it hurts them. You're a star, you're supposed to perform like it.
And the way the fans were booing for the decision
Yeah,
too.
see that's what I'm saying. Like he's in a different situation than Miller. He's the one that the crowd is, they're there to see him. He's the one that's supposed to perform, and he didn't.
Hopefully he's able to bounce back because he is a big draw.
Oh, the people love him.
All right, moving on to the fight that stole the show. Jose El Rayo Valenzuela became the new WBA super lightweight world champion after having a split decision victory over Isaac Pitbull Cruz and just completely outboxing him. First of all, how does it feel when you hear and knew? Because we see your guys' reactions and it gets emotional, but what do you guys feel?
It's man, having one of your fighters become world champion, especially when everybody doubts your fighter. When that's see those it's a big difference to Mikey winning his first world title when we obviously we didn't
Dominating
know,
the whole fight.
but he was dominating the whole fight and dropped Salido like 4 or 5 times and pretty much winning convincingly. Uh, after the fight, when we already know he won and they say a new champion, it's not the same feeling. Even though that's my brother, yes, was the fucking bad. Was what did I cry when I seen my mom and my sisters and everybody there? Happy that Mikey became champion. Of course, great feeling, but you already knew. We kind of already knew. I go back to my own fight when I became champion. Okay, I became champion. It wasn't like like none of that because I I knew I won, and it was pretty much an easy fight. But when you're with a fighter that nobody, very few, not I can't say nobody, very few give a chance, very few think you can pull it off, uh, and you're the underdog, 6-1, 7-1, whatever it was, because it
4-1.
turned 4-1 exactly at the end. It was like 4-1. Then it's a great feeling, man. And it's happened to us a few times with some of our fighters, and yeah, that's special. That's very special, and I guess you guys could probably see it on TV when they announce it. When they say "I knew," it's unbelievable, man. When you have make a champion where there's so many doubts and people are telling you me personally, you know you got no chance, or good fight, but that guy's much better, and stuff like that. Well, it's a great feeling, man. That's probably the best feeling. I've had it a few times, and it's one of the best feelings to have a champion.
Hmm.
Yeah, when you start to get to know these fighters and you understand everything that they've gone through to get to that moment, it's literally what every single fighter dreams of. I heard Rayo and Coach Mario and stuff mention that like during fight week or in the locker room, it's Coach Mario coached Rayo since he was a kid,
He was 11 years old.
yeah, 10, 11 years old, and helped him, a bunch of amateur fights, and all that time he obviously turns pro, goes with the Benavides, and a bigger name coach to help him and this and that. He returns to Coach Mario, but it's funny how everything works out, because I think for Rayo it was even more special to have his coach from the amateurs there. I think everything worked out the way it was supposed to, even though he took some losses and had some bumps on the road, everything came back, and it's the way it was supposed to be, I think, with his coach, with Mario there. Because in the locker room, you hear the way they're talking and stuff in the corner, while Mario's, there, and he's talking to him. We're all giving instructions, but Mario would tell him, "Come on, like everything you've ever worked for in this," and you could just tell it meant something more to both of them, because it was them two together.
Hmm.
So that's what makes it more special. Then obviously you hear about all the stuff with like people criticizing Rayo about saying, oh, he's not Mexican and this and that. They don't know the full story, that he's born in Los Mochis, Sinaloa. Like, comes here obviously, like most people do, to his parents trying to make a better life for their kids and stuff. And he gets criticized for that. Pitbull's dad himself criticizes him for that, and it's just all that stuff leading up to that one moment. On top of all the stuff with, like I'm saying, with this coach and stuff like that, it just makes it makes it even better. Those moments are or what makes our job. you know, it's it's not even a job. Like, you don't consider it work. You don't like that's why we do what we do. That's what makes it so special. That's what why we're at the gym every day training the fighters, so that every single one of them gets to feel that one day that their parents, the same thing, the dads that are always with their kids, at the gym, taking them since they're amateurs, pros, and seeing them develop and this and that, and to one day be able to say that their son is a world champ. That's what we hope for, and that's what we work for, and it all pays off when you get those kind of moments.
An undescribable feeling, huh?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's weird. It's different. It's not, even I don't know how my dad felt going into the fight, but even me, like, because obviously the fight's here in LA, so I was at home. I was here in the morning, and then I drove off, and on the drive to the fights, it's like a special, yeah, I'm nervous. Like, I get nervous, or like anxious or whatever. But when you got to fight like this, like my dad says, where you're the underdogs, where everything is in a way against you, and what you're about to get into, like a tough fight, Pitbull and all the knockouts he's had, and all the stuff. when I'm driving, like I'm just like fuck, like this is what makes it badass. Like these are like the fights that we get accustomed to it because obviously my dad has built such a big such a great gym that's world renowned, and everybody, we're kind of, in these kind of fights all the time. This next week Virgil's about to fight, right away for another world title and a big fight, main event Mandalay Bay and stuff like that. Other coaches don't get that, but when you sit and think about it, like I did, while I was driving the fucking 2 hours I got of traffic, you're just like, you realize how special this kind of stuff is, and it gets me excited, and you're like I can't wait to get to the arena today. Like this is
Yeah.
the special one. This is like one of the ones that you hope to get to, and you want your fighters to be in, the underdog and this and that. And it really makes it special. Like people don't understand how crazy, the feeling is to be involved in those kind of fights and then to win those kind of fights.
It's
Right now
it's
that, oh, go
it's
ahead.
it's really special because like Peter saying, everything is perfectly the way he said it. But going back to what people don't know, and calling him gabacho and this and that. Now that the world knows that he was born in Los Mochis in Aloha, there's still actually people sending me messages. So, but since he lives in the States, since he's a U.S. citizen, which he's not even a U.S. citizen, he's not even a U.S. citizen yet. People, does this title belong just to Mexico or U.S.? He's Mexican. He's born Mexican. So yes, he's well, okay. But then there's other cases where, nothing against Leo Santa Cruz. I love Leo Santa Cruz. They have him as one of the Mexican champions, and he was born in LA.
Oscar Valdez.
Oscar Valdez grew up in Arizona too, and
Yo, Mikey.
yeah,
Mike's
but
considered
Mikey,
Mexican American. Mike's considered here.
Mikey
He's
they
from
have him
here.
as American. Rayo was born in Mexico,
Leo Santa Cruz is considered a Mexican world champ, but he was
yeah,
born
but he was
in
born in LA.
in LA. Oscar Valdez was lived a lot of his life in Nogales. I mean in
I don't know if
Arizona.
Leo's already a Mexican citizen. That's why they consider him a Mexican, because there's been a few Mexican champions that are not, like, I don't years ago. I don't, my dad has talked about a Cuban that became a Mexican citizen, and then they consider him a Mexican champion also. I don't even remember the name.
Napoli.
So if that's the case with Leo, then why wouldn't they count uh, Rayo when he was born in Los Mochis, Sinaloa? Then
Weird.
I
It's
should
weird the
then
way they.
then they got to say I'm the first Mexican to win trainer of the year, because I'm a Mexican citizen too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they don't. So it depends on who you ask, I guess, and which fighter they pick to say he's Mexican. Rayo's born in Los Mochis, Sinaloa, so he's Mexican.
Oh, Mexican. Right now that you guys were talking about being the underdog and having people doubt you, did you guys ever doubt yourselves going into this fight?
You know what? We knew that Rayo had the skills, the talent, the power to be able to land and hold and make people think, because I think there was quite a few rounds where people never backs up, and there was a few rounds where he backed up a little, try to like box a little. I can't box, but moved a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's because he felt those punches, and I'm not saying Rayo hurt him. There was one uppercut that I kind of seemed like it did
The body
stun him.
shot. There was a body shot that we noticed.
Body shots too, but he's gonna say he was never hurt, but he felt them.
Mhm.
So I always knew Rayo had that power, but I always, still in my mind, I was thinking, man, it's not gonna be easy, but it turned out to be easier than expected. One thing that really kind of helped me, I guess, a little when it comes to the way I was feeling before the fight, before we left to the arena. Abner Mares called me. Abner Mares always calls me, wishing me, good luck and stuff like that. After wins, he congratulates me, but he called me just for one thing. He told me, Coach, don't forget you've done it before. You got this, Coach. You've done it before. And he's like, you did it with me. You've done it with many other fighters where nobody believes that we have a chance, and nobody gives us a chance at all. they think we're gonna get knocked out. So don't forget, you've done it before. That kind of helped me a little, man. Having her come tell me you've done it before, so you guys got to go out there and do it again. You got this, coach. That helped a lot. But I was positive. Before I left the arena, I'm in my room just chilling. Thinking and leaving, getting out of my room to the lobby to leave the arena. I was confident because I know we had a great training camp. I know Rayo was going to listen because throughout training camp he listened every single day. He did listen and did what he was told. So I knew we had to come up with a win.
Yeah, I think going into these kind of fights, it's not doubt that creeps in, or that you fuck how, but you have to think of like every scenario and um everything everything that the opponent does well. Like, you have to think about all that stuff. But I think it helps you prepare your fighters. It helps you in the corner, because if we go into a fight like this and we're like, nah, this dude's got nothing for us, or this or that, once you get to the fight, and you go in with that kind of mentality, then you start making mistakes as a whole team. you know the whole team understood how tough this fight was. Everybody knew how difficult it was, how dangerous Pitbull of a fighter is. And that's why when Rayo would get to the corner, every time he would get there, every single person in the corner was always giving him the same kind of advice. Obviously different little things, but the main thing was like, don't lose focus, don't get overconfident, and just be smart the whole time. And that you have to think like that. I remember when I talk a lot about, like, when Bam fought Rungvisai, how nervous I was, because of how big of a puncher he was. And obviously Bam's first title defense, he's still young. Um, and Rungvi said the experience that he has, the big puncher that he is. Um, and when we're walking out to the fight, like when we're walking like literally from the locker room already to the ring for the fight to start, I'm nervous as hell. Like, I've never been that nervous for a fight. But as soon as the bell rings, you get into like the work mode, like, okay, do this, do that. You're trying to help your fighter, as much as you can. And that helps you because of how nervous not nervous, but how worried you are about what the opponent can do. You're like extra careful with your fighter about, be careful with this, watch that. You're like more watching like details, and be careful, watch, he's doing this now he's doing that, watch this. So I think it helps. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be with that kind of mentality, because you can never underestimate an opponent, especially with somebody especially when you're the underdog.
I think most of the time that we've been through that, I think all it takes is the first round.
First round, and you start to feel the.
And now one thing that came to my mind, I remember recently with Santillan and Rocha. We were in the same, like, it wasn't a world title fight, but pretty much the same thing. The underdogs, nobody gave us a chance. And that first round, when that first round ended, I was like, we got this. Rayo last night, same thing. After the first round, I was like, we got this. Remember, Pita, Josh, when he became champion, same thing. Maidana, nobody gave Maidana a chance. Against Broner, and it was one round. All it takes. Same Abner, who called me and told me the same thing. That they follow instructions. They do exactly what you told them to do, and they win that. They do good that round. So you're like yeah, you're listening. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. So that gives you a little more confidence too, that the rest of the fight will continue going the same way. Obviously, and doesn't mean it's always going to be like that, but that's happened with our fighters. The moments, the times that we're the completely underdogs and very few give us a chance. Those are the I think the first round makes us feel more sure, more secure, more uh,
Confident.
confident that we got this.
Yeah. I asked you this question during fight week, but I'm asking you again. A lot of people kept bringing up Pitbull's power leading up to the fight, saying it was going to be too much for Rayo because, what happened with De Los Santos and et cetera, et cetera. But they have the same knockout percentage. Why do you think they weren't talking about Rayo's power as much as they were talking about Pitbull's?
But look, I think Rayo with half. I don't even know. I think like half the fights that that Pitbull has. You know, 9 out of 13 wins, nine by knockout. I think that's decent, especially a fighter that they took a little bit faster than expected. You know, he barely has 60 fights, and he already had two losses. He already lost one by knockout. You know, at 16
One
fights,
loss.
one lot, huh?
I'm like technically one loss.
Yes, yeah, of course. But on his record, already has two losses, and you know he came back and got one of the losses with an impressive knockout. He's already at such a short career. He's already pretty much been through it all. Already felt how it feels to get knocked out. So a lot of people were that's why a lot of people, oh, he's not going to be able to take people's power. But if you actually see uh, Pitbull's power, it's been with certain opponents also. It doesn't really say they've done the right thing with his opponents. I think they've 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 done a great job. His promotion team, his management team have done a great job with him. Making him a superstar. That controversial loss to Tank Davis, and then what they did after that was brilliant. They did a great job making him a superstar. But Rayo told us that his power wasn't something that was out of this world.
It's just because I think it's because the fans and everybody has seen Rayo get hurt. He's been stopped, and
Mhm.
Pitbull, we've never seen him get hurt. I think that's why everybody talks about the power. So I don't think it was so much about the power. I think it's about the other guy's resistance to power. I think Rayos had been, they had that one fight with De Los Santos where he got dropped and he was stopped. Pitbull, he fought Tank and he wasn't hurt. And so people just assume, nobody's gonna be able to hurt this guy, but you don't have to hurt him, to beat him. But I think that's the main reason.
Hmm. Talk to us about the importance of keeping him at a distance and how that was ultimately the key to victory.
Well, when you have so many inches and advantage and reach and height, best thing to do is keep that reach, keep that distance. Don't fight on the inside. Don't stay off the ropes. That's I don't think it's I don't think it's something that other trainers wouldn't think the best way to do it. You got to be focused. Obviously, you got to keep reminding them every round, every break, every minute break, and you have to train them to do that. But yeah, take advantage of that. You have the height, you have the reach, you have great power too. Let's take advantage of it. I think the fighter has to listen, and when that happens, man, I can't say that's an easy win, but more likely you will pull it off because you fight smart, you make a miss, you move, you touch them, and keep doing it every round. Don't get confident. Don't think, oh, I already got him, and make mistakes trying to change, which Rayo did a couple times where he stayed in there a little bit too long, where people came back with, even though they weren't like punches were that seemed like they were too hard or in danger of getting knocked out or anything. Never in that situation, but they were a little for the judges, for the fans. They looked like it was people's moment. But we just kept reminding them. You got to keep fighting smart every time. Like Peter said earlier, every time he would end up in the rope, especially in the corners, like make a miss and get out of there, and touch him and get out of there, because he just couldn't fight. There's no way we're gonna fight him, on the inside. Which if you're not, because Rayo had the height and reach, but if you could outbox Pitbull if you're a really good boxer, but when you're not that tall, then I was actually considering some at moments, let's back him up also because he's never fought backing up. And when he backed up a little, I
He
think
did it on his
Rayo
own.
had great moments too, but then Rayo also stayed there a little bit long, where people came back with 3, 4 punches, just the way he does. So you got to be very careful. I think boxing him was the smartest thing, especially with Rayo, who has great jab, great reach, great height, great height advantage and everything. I think that was the best way to fight him.
Kind of piggybacking, you guys kind of answered this question, but the way the handshake situation and the way that his dad was talking leading up to this fight, did that make the win more satisfying for you guys?
It does. It does. Look, I didn't say nothing. I haven't said anything. I don't want, I don't need to, I don't need to get into arguments or get into, discussions about it. That's the way they are. He didn't want to, he left Rayo hanging, he put his hand up there and he didn't want to shake it. And then at I think it was the
Press
weigh-in,
conference.
press
Press.
conference, press conference, I knew somebody was saying something, but I wasn't sure who it was because there was other people standing there. And Rayo told me it was the dad, And then there's the cameras actually done
Caught it
videos,
perfectly.
where the dad's actually telling them, about balls and don't run and stuff like that. Well, I don't know, that's if that's the way they are, then that's the way they are. Nothing I could say, nothing I could change. I did hear a lot of people already talking that kind of happy for them, for Rayo because of the way they are. I seen after the ceremonial weigh-in, people going back to the locker room into the hotel with all the matchroom securities taking them in there, and people wanting a picture, wanting an autograph. It's not like he just weighed in and he's dehydrated. They weighed in at 9 in the morning. So he already ate. He already ate twice, 3 times maybe, because it was, at after 6 p.m., maybe like 7 p.m. And he doesn't want to talk to nobody. He doesn't take a picture with nobody. There was people, really mad and calling them names, and that's what you're gonna get your ass. People that were not happy because he didn't stop to take pictures with nobody. You know, People are the ones that pay to see you fight. I don't want to say you have, he's not, he needs to be a little more humble, but because that's their style. The dad said Rayo's not Mexican because nobody in Mochis knows who he is. Well, you don't have to. He was born in Mochis, so he is Mexican. You don't say, oh, he's a Gabacho because nobody in Los Mochis knows who he is. Well, that doesn't mean he wasn't born there.
Yeah. What's your guys' take on them saying that it was a robbery after the fight?
If that's the way they want to see it, that's fine. They're the only ones that think that. His team is the only one that thinks that. Nobody else has told me they gave you guys a fight. Nobody else has said it. And if there's a few saying that, because maybe they love Pitbull and they wanted to see him win and they hate it. They hate to see him win. I mean lose. They hate to see him lose. But I don't think there wasn't even. I think it was clearly a win by Rayo, and that's what 99% of the people are saying. All the real boxing people are saying that. It's not just us saying we won. Everybody, the whole boxing world is saying that we won. Just Team Cruz is the ones that are not happy, saying that they got robbed. Well, that's fine. They could say that.
Capita?
No, yeah, they're I mean, if they think they won that fight, then if there is a rematch, that just makes us more confident to think that we're gonna win the rematch. Because if they think they won that fight, then they're probably not gonna think they have to change anything. They just need different judges, or and they're gonna be able to do what they did, and they're still gonna be able to win. They're not gonna change anything up. They're not gonna, if they thought they won that fight, the way it played out, if they thought that was a robbery, then I mean, there's nothing you can really do to change your mind because that was far from a robbery.
Right. With this victory, Rayo becomes the 15th world champion that comes out of RGBA. But talk to us a little bit about the team effort that goes into it. You're wearing your America shirt. the team effort that goes into it and how everyone was involved in this.
See, that's the thing, that I wouldn't be able to have the champions that I have if it wasn't for the team that we have, since early in my career as a trainer, when Stevie Luevano and Viloria, Paco was my assistant, and at that time he was my dad was still involved, and it was a team effort. Then we moved on to our location, our own place, and everything. And Marcos helped me out with a couple of our champions there. One of them is Radovic. Marcos was involved with him a lot, and he was a big part of it. Here in River,
Donald with
Donald Brandon was I can't
with some of those guys.
So I've always I can't do it myself. I wouldn't be able to do it myself with so many fighters. There's trainers that have one fighter, so they don't need any assistance. They don't need any help. They just need somebody to carry the bucket for them. But I need guys that are doing mids. I need guys that could go to a fight if I can go. Just like next week, Lindolfo Delgado and Chop Chop are going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm gonna be in Vegas. That's why we need the team that we have, or else I wouldn't be able to do it. Here with us, we have Pita, Chepe, and with Felipe and Charles, especially. I have to give a lot of credit to Charles because the guys, they're in great shape. Everybody, Rayo went all 12 rounds. He was great. He was fresh. Josh, when he became champion, he didn't get tired. The 3 fights that he had as 5 fights as a world champion, but the trilogy he had against Maloney, 2 fights went 12 rounds, and he was in great shape. The fights in Japan, he was in great shape. Virgil is always in great shape. Rayo in this one showed that he's in great shape. So Charles has a lot to do with putting these guys in shape. I also with Rayo, Mario Rodriguez, his trainer since he was a kid. I can't take all the credit myself. Virgil Ortiz, his dad, come on, they've all been involved. They're still involved. Virgil is still very involved, with his son. He's the main guy there. So I don't take all the credit. I wouldn't be able to do it. Pete and Chepe and Felipe, with all the younger ones there. Pete and Chepe are the ones that are going to be in Albuquerque. When I was with Anthony Joshua, Bam trained for the Runfasai fight with Pete and Chepe. Lindolfo Delgado trained for that against
Pollo
Aguilar, and a few, Raymond Mortaya. They all had fights in the time that I was over there, and they did it here themselves. With Bam, I just flew to San Antonio for that fight and flew back. So it's a team effort. It's not just me. It's the whole team.
When is his picture gonna be up on the wall?
I already have the picture.
You already have the picture, all right? So we just gotta get.
No, I don't have it printed out, but I have the file. I gotta order it.
Which picture is it?
We took it right.
What's his friend? The videographer that he has, the videographer that he has. I forget his name. He's the one that took it.
Theo, I asked you this question in the morning, but when you decided to become a trainer, did you ever imagine yourself reaching this level?
Not really. I didn't. I never imagined myself, and I never even thought about it because that wasn't my plan. I just started doing it for fun, taking Felipe and Gonzo. It was fun. It was fun going to the fights with them. Mia St. John, it was a lot of fun traveling with Mia. There was a lot of fights that Mia did in casinos all over the States where people were just, people don't have much to do in small little towns where there's a casino. People show up with They would show up with a magazine. It was just fun with a Playboy magazine for her to autograph. It was just fun, and with Felipe and Gonzo, uh, just became fun. Things that when I was a fighter, I wasn't having fun. I traveled all over the world as a fighter, as an amateur and as a professional fighter, and all over the United States, but never really seen anything because you're making weight, you're fighting next day in the morning, you're flying home. Uh, traveling around with as a trainer was better. I didn't have to diet, I didn't have to be in bed early, I didn't have to, and I could go out and see the city, meet, just different things. I never really visualized or never thought one day I'm gonna have make champions, one day I'm gonna do this. Honestly, never really pictured that happening to me. Now that we've built 15, shit, I want to do another 15.
Yeah.
And I think we got talent for fighters. I think we got the talent to bring another 15. It's been literally 20 years because in 2004 is when I met Brandon and Victor Ortiz. That's when I went with Mikey to the national. Mikey was still like a 15-year-old, 14, 15-year-old in the nationals. And and that's when I started pretty much when I started with as a manager and trainer, like I said, with Gonzo and Felipe, it was just for fun. Honestly, it was just for fun.
I forgot what book I was reading when I was in school, but it was basically about an artist saying that as long as your passion is into making that art piece and you don't think about like the result, if it's going to be sold or anything, you're just putting your passion into it, that's when it comes into fruition. And I feel like that reminded me of it. You're not thinking about it, you're just putting your
Yeah,
passion into it.
very similar because I never really thought about it. Honestly, I never thought about it, and that's what we've seen so many times. I brought it up, and it's because they love boxing also. But I see so many trainers that I know when I was still fighting, and trainers that are still trying because they're trying so hard that it never happens. To
Yeah.
one day have a champion, to one day, and it never happens. I think for me it was more like it just happened. Never really thought about it. Stevie Luevano was my first champion. Obviously, yeah, we fucking trained him hard. My dad was involved, and Paco was involved, and I traveled all the way to England with Stevie Luevano, and he became champion. But yeah, it wasn't like now that this is my first world title opportunity, this is what I'm doing. Then after that, I'm gonna continue doing it. I'm gonna have many more. Never really thought like that. I just let it happen little by little, and the list goes on. Like I said, I've been doing it for 20 years. I think we're gonna be doing it for another 20 years at least. And so if I already did 15, if we already did 15 in 20 years, I think 20 more years we could do another 15, maybe 20. I think we could, especially with the team that we have right now.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't think
15 plus.
anything stops us.
That's crazy to think about. Do you guys want to touch up on anything regarding Rayo's fight before we move on? No?
I
Okay.
don't think that has anything, just very happy to be part of the team. I know, Los Mochis, like Pitbull's dad says, maybe doesn't know him very well,
They
but
do now.
Seattle does.
Now they
Eh?
do.
They
But
do
now they
now.
do. I'll bet you now they're fucking happy they have Mochitleco, como le nombran, de los Mochis world champion. I'll
Yeah,
bet
we
you
got
they're
world champion Los Mochis.
but I know Washington's happy,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and,
now
and that's also badass.
look I talked about it how I thought it meant so much more for Rayo because he had his coach with them, and we're just happy to be able to help with whatever we can with Rayo and his camp, and he came to the gym. He asked my dad for his last camp when he fought Colbert. He had been to the gym before for sparring, like with the Benavides and stuff. And then when he was gonna fight Chris Colbert, the rematch, he told my dad, he's like, "Is it cool if I do a camp there? I want to, spar with the guys there. I want to do, whatever." My dad told me, "Yeah, of course." And he went, did his camp there. you helped him out a little bit for that one. Not as involved as for this one, but you did. But nobody was able to go to his fight because he was fighting the same day as Bam and Sonny Edwards. And then like me, Chep, and the guys were like, "Ugh, nah, we can't miss, Bam and
He
Sonny
asked
Edwards."
you guys too, right?
Yeah, he asked if can anybody come, if and my dad asked us, and we all said the same thing. We're like, nah,
He
we just
understood. He was
yeah,
in.
no, he was cool about it. He was like, nah, yeah, I get it. It's cool, whatever. You know, for this, then, obviously comes this camp, it works out perfect. There's no fights, there's no nothing. It's just focus on him and we help him with whatever we can, obviously getting him sparring and, helping him there at the gym with whatever in the locker room and stuff. I think it's so cool when you get a fighter like that, somebody who already comes to the gym with like he was already, you could say, a rising star in boxing. He had been in big fights, big, whatever. Um, right before we walk out, we're all right there. We're all just like anxious, waiting to go out to the ring, and he's just kind of pacing back and forth. You can tell he's visualizing a lot of stuff. He's like practicing, this and that. He had already done mitts, and we're just waiting to get the call. All right, let's go, let's walk. And you're just waiting and whatever. And he just stops and he walks up to everybody that was in the locker room. He's like, thank you guys for being here, and he gives everybody a hug and like and he's like, it means a lot to me. He's like that you guys are all here, everything you guys did for me for this camp. And he goes to everybody in the locker room. We had, obviously it was me and my dad. Mario, ¿cómo se llama Wilson? Is it Wilson? Wilson, then Oliver was there. Um, Kadosh,
Kadash.
yeah, because the Kadosh was there. It was like six of us.
Kadash
And
or
he goes
Kadash.
and he goes to everybody. He's like, it means a lot. He's like, it really does. Thank you guys and whatever. And it feels good. You go into the fight like with more like fuck yeah, like we have to do this. You know what I mean? For because Rayo's a good person, and I think people now that he gets a little more fame and more people talking about him and stuff, people are gonna see how good of a person he is, and he's gonna gain more followers, a bigger, more fans and stuff because of the way he carries himself, the kind of guy he is and stuff. And it just makes you feel really happy for him, for Mario, and for their team and stuff, to be able to accomplish their goal like that.
I love that. All right, moving on to the main event. Terence Crawford moved up to his fourth division and became the new WBA Super Welterweight World Champion, and he also got the WBO interim title after securing a unanimous decision over Israil Madrimov. This was a very technical fight from start to finish, and it was more like of a chess match. Give us your guys' thoughts on Bud's Super Welterweight debut.
I think it wasn't one of his best performances. I think I don't want to say that's what happened to him because only he knows, his team knows. I know he's a very dedicated fighter. He's a very dedicated athlete. He's always, been very dedicated. But I do believe that with some fighters, I can't say it was this case, but from what it seemed like, it could have happened where you're already focused or thinking about something bigger, something else, something, uh, and just in a
Canelo.
bigger, and thinking this is gonna be pretty easy, pretty convincingly. You don't train as hard. Like I said, I know Crawford's very dedicated. He's very disciplined, and he always trains very hard. But only they know. But I do believe that this is something that could easily had happened. Thinking the fight's gonna be pretty easy. The big event, Eminem being there, your friend. You're kind of focused on so many different things, so many things going on that it could have affected him. I think his age also 37. At 37, it's already up there in age when it comes to boxers. So that could have been something that showed already. But the fight itself, I thought it was a very close fight. I thought it was a very very good fight, close fight. I think Joel and his fighter did a great job. I think Madrimov lost the fight, but he won because he lost to Crawford on a very controversial decision where he wins. He's going to get bigger fights. He became a star because it was on a big event. And a lot of people are thinking he won. A lot of people are thinking it was so close that it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So that's a win for him. Before, nobody knew who he was. Now, all the promoters, all the boxing world are gonna say, "Hey, who's that guy? We want to see him again." The promoters are gonna invite him for a big fight. His stock went up, even though he lost. We talked it earlier about Andy Ruiz. It affected him, and that was the draw. I think Madrimov, his stock, rose. He became a bigger name, and I think bigger things are gonna come for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of Crawford's age starting to catch up and his inactivity of fighting once a year. He's been doing that for a while already. Last year it was just the fight with
Yes.
Errol. Nothing since then. Before that, it was the fight with a Venetian, and like it's long breaks. I think fighters do that to themselves. We were talking about like Andy. Andy did it to himself. The same thing with Crawford. All these long layoffs start to take its effect. Then what's three things? The long layoff, then it's also the age. The long layoff plus being 37 years old now starts to take its effect. And then on top of it, you have a new weight class, a 154. Um, one especially somebody like Madrimov who's as difficult, as awkward, as he's got a different rhythm to the way he fights. You got to give him credit for the way they fight. Crawford's more of a natural counterpuncher, and he fights off his back foot real well. Madrimov made it really, really difficult for Crawford to find his timing, to find his rhythm. I thought they did a great job. Again, I thought it was a really, really close fight. But all that other stuff for Crawford, it affected him in the fight. The long layoffs, the age, and then moving up in another division. It's tough. It's not easy for these fighters going up in weight classes, and that's why I never thought the Terence Crawford versus Canelo fight. We're gonna talk about it a little bit later, but I never thought it was something realistic or something where we would see the best Crawford. Um, these jumping up in weight, it's difficult, and with all the other stuff that happened to Crawford, I think that took its effect. Obviously, you don't take anything away from Madrimov because, like I said, they made it really difficult for Crawford. They made it difficult for him to find his timing, to find his rhythm. I did think Crawford not took over, but he did win. The last couple rounds to seal the victory, and I thought he won 7 rounds to 5 and like a solid, not all it could have been a draw. No, I thought Crawford won. But Madrimov made it really difficult for him. Made it really, really, really difficult. I think Crawford and his team are probably gonna, if they do have, he does have like a little stretch. I don't think he'll be fighting for another 2 3 years, but if he has a few more fights left in him, I think they're gonna do it back to back now. I think we'll probably see him sometime by the end of the year, early next year, and then maybe the big Canelo fight that they're looking for, or whatever it is they're looking for, because I think the layoffs do start to take its effect at this age.
This was the
So
first time.
I do think he's looking for the big fight, and that's probably what
Yeah,
he's
he's
waiting.
he's looking he's looking for Canelo. I think that's the fight that he wants. But I don't think the I think after this performance in at 154, it makes it, not that it makes it more likely, because I think now Canelo would take it even more. Canelo, especially with his decisions lately of taking the easier routes, I think now he would be more. He's going to be even more willing to fight Terence Crawford. But I think for Terence Crawford, for the fans, for the general public, seeing him have a performance like that at 154 just makes you think, okay, how is he gonna have, how is he gonna look better 14 more pounds? Like it's not realistic for him to think like that. And I think he's gonna look for a fight sometime by the end of the year where he's gonna, before, if I don't think it'll be Canelo by the end of the year, so I think he'll take one more fight before the end of the year to try to have that performance and then look for the Canelo fight after.
This was his first time since 2016 that he has gone the distance. Do you think that his power will ultimately transfer in this new division as he continues to get used to it?
I don't know.
I
It's
think he
tough.
still has great power. I think it was Madrimov. His plan, his style, never stop moving, always kept that guy was came out good. He came
Hard to
out
time him.
good. He was just difficult. I
Especially
think
when you're a counterpuncher.
yeah,
When
it
you're a
was
counterpuncher,
it was in the weight. I think it was the opponent in
style.
front of
Yeah,
Yeah.
but even like the weight, like at 154, these dudes are fucking big,
They're
man.
big boys.
They're fucking big. It's a big difference, welterweights and 154 pounders. The 154 pounders, these are some big dudes, man. We talked about it at the gym where we saw that picture of like Devin Haney standing next to Crawford, and Devin Haney looks like he's towering over Terence Crawford. He looks way bigger than him. Um, and we just think like, imagine him, imagine Terence Crawford in there with, some of these other like, well, he fought Madrimov, but the chart, now before I used to say that I thought Crawford would beat the shit out of the Charlo easy, the one that was the undisputed at 154. Now, even though I would still pick Crawford to win, I don't think he beats the shit out of anybody at 154. I think he's in really, really good competitive fights at 154, and he'll probably be favored in most of them. But I don't think, it's a walk in the park for him. I think this is gonna be, if he were to try to become undisputed in his third division, this for sure is gonna be the toughest, test for him, because these dudes are these are some big fucking dudes, man. They weigh in at 154, but by the time they're fighting, they're weighing 170, and that's not easy for somebody that used to fight at 135.
Yeah. Madrimov was influential in Bivol's camp when he was preparing for Canelo, and then this time Bivol was helping him prepare for Crawford. How much do you think that benefited him?
And that's just motivation. They
Yeah.
don't, they didn't, they're
I think
way
Madrimov
different.
sparred though. I think Madrimov did spar Bivaldo to
Yeah, they
get him ready
sparred.
for. Yeah, they sparred to get him ready for Canelo.
They sparred. It wasn't, it's just sparring, and it wasn't like he was, uh, a similar style or something like that.
Motivation.
It's just motivation. Just like, when Bam sparred Chocolatito, we didn't have the same style against guys, but it was just something that, it was nice to have, and they did
Experience.
have like
Yeah.
confidence and stuff like that, motivation stuff, something like that.
Yeah,
Even like
it's like
even
having
like
guys at the
Terence.
gym. It's like
Oh,
having
we
guys
go.
at the gym, like you know, all the guys when they train together, like Virgil's in camp with Rayo. Obviously, they're not helping each other. They don't spar her or nothing like that. But just you see, when you see other guys in the gym working hard and stuff, it pushes you a little bit. So that's what helps the most.
Kind of similar how Bud was sparring Andre Ward with this
Yeah,
in this.
same shit. Yeah, same shit.
What?
Underward, but Terrence Crawford sparred Underward.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now with this
That's why
victory,
he went
do
the
you
distance.
feel... oh my God. With this victory, do you feel like Bud's resume stacks up accordingly, or do you feel like he needs more evidence to prove his greatness?
But nah, he's fucking
Right.
the
He
best
already
fucking fighter of right now. Pound for pound is
did
tough. Right now, pound
he's
for pound is tough.
two division pound for pound. He beat
Two
Spence the
division
way he
undisputed.
did. He doesn't need to prove nobody,
Nah, nah,
nothing else.
he's a bad
Left
motherfucker.
his mark.
Nah, yeah, he's a Hall of
That's
Famer. He's the first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the top three fighters of this generation of the past 10 years or whatever you want to say. He's an all-time great already. He's just the icing on the cake, and he's just doing extra at this point.
Yeah. We touched about it. We talked about it a little bit right now, but thoughts on the Canelo and Bud fight? No comment.
Oh, it's
what
just
what I could say is, look, 90% of Puerto Ricans and Mexicans don't know much about boxing. They just know Mexico versus Puerto Rico. It's always been a big thing. And now we have Mexico versus Puerto Rico. So
nah. Nobody's buying that fucking
I,
Mexico Puerto Rico shit for this.
a lot of
Fucking
people,
nobody.
a lot of people
Berlanga is from
don't
fucking
know
New
boxing.
York.
Most of
He's
the
from
people
the
don't know
fucking
boxing.
Bronx or from Brooklyn or whatever. Fuck that. Nah, hell
Most
no.
of the
We're
people
not buying this shit.
don't know boxing.
It's
They
not
just
Tito
Mexico
Trinidad versus De La
versus
Hoya. Nah, fuck
they'll
that.
tune in.
Yeah.
They don't know boxing. They just tune in because there's Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Okay, why do when you have a fighter fighting in Mexico,
They
a
always get
Mexican,
somebody from another country.
why do they bring
Always, always, always. Just because it looks better for them to beat up on somebody from
back?
another
Yeah,
country. Yeah.
people don't know.
Yeah, they
People,
just yeah.
it's Puerto Rican versus Mexican. Let's fucking watch it.
Yeah,
Let's watch it. That's the way it is.
so Canelo versus Crawford. I mean, we've said it. We've said it so many times. When you get a black fighter, an African American fighter fighting a Mexican or a Mexican American fighter, where whatever, those are the biggest fights, like pay-per-views and stuff like that. Those are huge fights all the time. And Crawford will have a big following for that fight, but I just think the general public saw him now, or I wouldn't say the general public, because there's still a lot of people that, like my dad said, that are going to buy that one because Crawford has shown his greatness already. So people are going to follow him no matter what. But it just makes it more like it took away some of the, if it would have been happened right after the Errol Spence fight, even though it's 21 pounds, I think more people would have believed it. It would have been
Yeah,
a bigger fight than now after Madrimov. Now after Madrimov, it kind of shows like you're like, well, that's 154. Add another fucking 14 pounds. Like we just said, from 147 to 154 is a big leap. Like these dudes are big at 154. These are big dudes. Imagine fucking super middleweights. Imagine
Yeah.
a super middleweight in front of Terence Crawford. Um, the only reason the only reason I would be okay with that fight, and this sounds, obviously I'm contradicting everything I've said or whatever, is because we've known Terrence and obviously the whole team and stuff like that, and the amount of money they would make for that fight is obviously he's made a lot of money in his career, but it would be a huge payday for him, for his family, for his whatever, and knowing how good of a person he is, how dedicated he is and stuff, you would be happy for him in that aspect of it. But
yeah.
aside from that, it's not, like me, I can't be, you know, on here talking about no, this guy should fight that guy and this and that, and then pretend like I think it would be a competitive fight because I don't think it would be competitive at all.
It'd be too much for him. The power.
Yeah, it's the size. I mean, come on, like it's a huge difference. One, he's his best weight class. We could now say even he fought Madrimov. He fought Madrimov and didn't, I mean, struggled a little bit. It was a really close fight. At welterweight, he knocked out since he fought at welterweight, every single fight was a knockout. So we could say his best weight class was welterweight. That was
Mhm.
Crawford. That was peak Terence Crawford. How are we supposed to expect somebody whose best weight class is 147 to go all the way up to 168 against another all-time great fighter? It's not just like he's fighting, like Roy Jones went up to heavyweight and fought Ruiz. Um, no offense to Ruiz, but he wasn't this all time. I don't think Roy Jones would have gone up to fight fucking Evander Holyfield, at heavyweight, or fucking Mike Tyson, or one of these guys. No, I think there's limits, and I think 150. I think 154 is the Terence Crawford's limit.
The toughest division yet.
Yeah, it's his limit. It's where we're still gonna see him win fights because of how good he is, but anything above it is it's pushing it already. Like it's too much. Even this weight class is already tough for him, but once even anything above it is just it's too much now, I think.
Yeah. All right. Would you guys like to touch up on anything regarding this fight or just the whole event in general?
I was just I mean, it was cool, man. It was cool to be a part of. We talked about that at the beginning. I hope we get more of these events where we get more guys fighting guys that they probably wouldn't be fighting, normally, or I think our fight was probably the only one that you could probably say it probably would have happened because they were both with PBC, but most of the other fights you're just like, Terence Crawford is, he's been with Top Rank with PBC, now he's fighting somebody from Matchroom. You got Andy Ruiz, PBC, he's fighting somebody with Matchroom. I think Miller's with Matchroom. Bakole, Queensberry against Top Rank, and they're talking about Shakur Stevenson versus Cepeda, Golden Boy versus whoever Shakur signs with, and all this stuff. And
Point,
hopefully we get
that's
more of this because hopefully
badass
we get
fight.
more of this because you're gonna get good fights, and the fans they respond when you give them the good fights. I think Shakur Stevenson versus Cepeda would be a great fight for the fans. They would respond if it's here in LA. I mean, not here in LA, here in the United States. People are gonna support both guys. It's gonna be a big event. It's gonna be a big fight, and hopefully we get more stuff like.
Hopefully we get more fights in LA. That would actually be good.
Yeah,
That
there
would,
hasn't been there hasn't been a lot of big fights here in LA recently. Like you get to world title fights like that. It had been some time. Everything kind of goes to Vegas. Everything goes to everything. Nevada gets the first. They get first dibs on everything. So, LA is a good market, and hopefully we get more fights here. Obviously, it's easy for us. We're an hour away.
yep, no hotels or anything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Stay tuned for the next one. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and then leave your comments below.